Då är ni välkomna till Se människan-scenen här hos Svenska kyrkan på Bokmässan. Nu ska vi lyssna till Åsa Lind som är författare och illustratören Ingrid Godon som samtalar tillsammans med domkyrkokaplan Lena Sjöstrand om Åsas och Ingrids bok Här är vi. Samtalet kommer att hållas på engelska eftersom Ingrid är belgiska. You're very welcome to start.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ingrid and Åsa, you're most welcome to Se människan and the Swedish Church Station at the book fair.
Thank you very much.
I'm really looking forward to talking to you after been reading your book. And I will start to ask something about the process. Åsa, you live in Sweden and write in Swedish, and Ingrid, you live in Belgium. So what kind of advantages or challenges did you meet in the process, working as you do, coming from two cultures and using different languages?
Well, I would say that we have one common language.
Yeah.
And that is the love to the work and the intention when telling stories and the trust in each other. I mean, for me, borders are very fictional, and this coming from two cultures is like, well, I'm from Earth and you're from Mars or whatever, but the differences, there are no differences.
Have you noticed any differences?
No, we have a common project.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was the point where you did meet for this common project?
Well, it was a reception in Bologna when we were standing side by side and started to have a conversation, a very small one. And we did not know each other at all. And I saw Ingrid's pictures. She showed me some of them. I was really taken back. I mean, literally, I was like taken a step back because they are so strong.
In what kind were you taken by them?
By the presence of the persons on the pictures.
Yeah.
They are really standing out as very, very distinct characters. Really. So it's a extremely strong pictures. So I was very moved, and they stayed for me for a long time. I mean, they kept on turning up in my head. At that point, we didn't decide anything about collaboration or something. It was like, she's a good artist.
So did you have the text that we have in the book now, or did you see the images and then you get the idea for the text?
No, because I didn't even dream of having a collaboration with Ingrid. But I had like 4 lines in my head that had been on repeat for a long time. I had been twisting them around. I did not know what to do with them. But when there was a small hint of opportunity to write a text for Ingrid, they all of a sudden became this story. When the publisher, Erik Titesson, mentioned that if I did something interesting enough, that Ingrid might be not a little pressure.
Yes.
So then I knew then I knew what story and how to use this text.
Yeah.
That was the beginning.
Okay. And Ingrid, do you remember the pictures that you showed to Åsa?
At
At the first meeting, when you met in Bologna?
Yes, when we met in Bologna, it was a marvelous moment. We were sitting on the Piazza Maggiore in Italy, in Bologna. It's a very, very nice place.
Yes.
And we were sitting there with a cappuccino, the 3 of us, and there I showed at first the sketches.
The first sketches.
And do you know exactly the ones that you showed when you met the very
yes,
first time?
I made a storybook.
Yeah.
And I had a problem for the end, I remember. And we were discussing the end because I didn't know how to to do that. And so we had a very nice talk together. And then I went home and I did everything in color, and now we are here.
Yes. And how, I think that is very interesting when you work together with words and images. What is the ordinary way for you to work? Do you start with a text and then comes the images, or is it the other way around, or how do you?
For this book, it was first the text and then the images. Yes.
And that is like, I would say, the most common way to do picture books.
Yes.
And there is a text, and then you search for, you already know what illustrator would be the optimal choice.
Yeah.
And I think it's very. I would like also to have it the other way around, but you have also worked the other way around with having pictures first and text coming. So there are many ways to do it.
Yeah.
The common way is first text and then illustration. Yes.
And now you had a text in Swedish and a translated text, of course.
In English, yes.
In English.
Eric translated in English. It was a very short text, so.
But how was that? Getting the text translated?
I couldn't see the Swedish text because I don't understand it, so I had to do it with the English text. But when I read it, it was immediately something that gave me pictures and the good feeling here. It's nothing's going on here, but for me, it's really inside my belly.
Yeah.
And I see it very quick when a text fit with myself.
Yeah.
And when I want to do this, it was very quick. Okay.
And I heard yesterday that you decided the shape of the book. So that was true. It's a special shape.
The long, huh?
Yeah.
And when you open it, it's
so very long when you
longer
open it.
and yes.
Like this.
Because the story is about a journey of two figures. So they are going from A to B, and so they walk. And it's normal that you walk, that you don't do that, but you do that.
And you really get that expression when you read a book, I think.
Yes, I saw it
So
quickly.
I didn't know that you had decided the shape, but when I heard it yesterday, I thought that was a really good idea, that you picked up the story of a journey and made it as an image.
Yes.
And then the text is placed on different, it's there and up there. And how did you decide on that? Who did decide on where to put the text?
I decided when I'm making my storyboards.
Yeah.
Yes, I know there's text, so I have to leave space for the text. So and then I start to make my sketches.
So that the text becomes part of the image in a way. And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, and part of the reading.
Yeah.
Because depending on how the spread looks and what the spread is telling, in most cases you have a grown-up person reading to a child.
Yes.
And it has to be look good, because how a book looks affect the reading.
Yes.
So all what you're doing is in one way to make it as smoothly as possible. Nothing shall be an hindrance, but everything in the book must be lifting the story in the best way. It's like when you build a house, everything must be on the right spot. And when moving inside the house, you don't know all the technical details of what the carpenter did, but everything has to work. And this is much the work of a picture book as well. The letters, the layout, the spread, the format, everything. When everything works together the best way, you have an optimal book.
Yeah. And there's an interesting thing that books that also small children can read and listen to, they are also made for being listened to.
Yes.
It's a performative book in a way.
Now, well, as writing for small children, I write for the ears. I
Yes.
do not write for the eyes.
No.
And that is like two different kind of techniques when writing.
Yeah.
And the ears are so sensitive to every sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one example here. The line, att gå så långt.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go that far. The Swedish language helps us here with
Yes,
go.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that you have worked a lot with that. It didn't just happen.
No, no,
It
no, no,
was
no, 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 no.
Can understand that. Yeah. I can show the book when I speak. Yeah. So this is, we were talking about putting the text in special spot on the spread, and that becomes a piece, a part of the image, so to say. So we will say something about the content, the narrative. What
Yes.
is the narrative? What is the background for this story?
Well, as Ingrid said, it's about a journey, and what I started out with was the first 4 lines. Here you are, here I am. There is på sin höjd in Swedish. There might be some others, and I was thinking a lot about we and them, and when do a we become. When do they become like us, etc. As I said, I had these lines in my head for a long time, and they were like twisting around, and I didn't know what they actually, what the content was. But then during this process, and when I knew that it was possible to make a picture books, that was when the first wave of refugees from Syria came. It was really when the crisis really hit us all.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised that a lot of people started to divide people into them and us. And I was like, but we are all us. How can we say that they are not we?
We. Yeah.
So this is, in one way, you can absolutely read it as a flight, and what happens when you try to approach the other place, and when do we become part of the others?
Yeah.
You know? But you can also read it in. I mean, you can read it in many ways.
Yes. I was brought back to my schoolyard
Yeah.
when I was a child.
Yes.
To be lonely, to be part of something, to be rejected, all this big drama going on a schoolyard, and also for a refugee, of
Yeah.
course.
And also, when you see the pictures are not telling specifically where or who or why. So it's the same. The text and the pictures are supporting this. Who are they? I mean, we don't even know if it's a mother and a child, a sister, a brother. Everyone can be the child at the schoolyard.
Yeah.
In the text.
And that isn't that also a way of building this big we? Because if we could recognize that it's the same kind of experiences we have, but in different situations, that is a way of bridging gulfs and differences between us. Or
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's. I mean, when you come to a new workplace, for example, it can be extremely difficult to take that first cup of coffee and try to find where to sit, and then it can only be the body language of people. Am I excluded or included?
Yeah.
And we have all been through that.
Yes.
Schoolyard, workplace, and luckily for us, for you and me and for you, we have not been standing at the border questioning, are we allowed to enter or not?
No.
Who are they? And who are we?
And that is, of course, an absolutely different situation, but on an existential level, perhaps you could recognize something in the situation of being just, could I be part of? Will I be reacted? Could I come in? Could I be a member of this?
We, you, them, excluded or included.
Yeah. I can also read a dimension of the relationship between God and a human being in this two protagonists in this story. If it's a mother and a child or a sister and a brother.
Do we know that, Ingrid? Did you decide anything about their gender or persons or?
It's like I said, I don't think about it.
No,
I
no,
start
neither.
to,
No,
and I see
exactly.
what's coming. So
And neither did I. I have no idea.
No, that's good. It's up to us when we read it.
Yes.
But perhaps that is why I could see the story, that it's also a story about God and a human being. God carrying a human being, walking with a human being on this journey.
It's open. Like you
Yes,
can
it's open, yeah. So that is nice. That is actually something that there's been some discussion about, this openness. You have quite a minimalistic way of doing your images, and I know that in some reviews there have been questions asked about this. Is it too empty? Is it too vague? Or so what is your reflection? What's your answer to those questions?
I think for this story, because you're looking for, and you're taking the long journey, you're afraid, you're thinking about a lot of things. So for me it was obvious that you're alone in a big space, nothing around. So all those strong feelings are more strong when there's nothing to see around.
So it's a way of also showing this loneliness and this walk. Yeah.
And I like to make my pictures more and more simple.
Yeah.
And to have more strong figures, so with a few lines, just little eyes, amounts on the place where they have to be. Just a little bit of color, like in this book, but I want to make it stronger with less. Less is more, like we say.
Yeah.
But
there's a kind of rhythm in the images as well. Yeah.
And you can, when you open it, it is clear. You can see what you have to see.
Yeah.
It comes to you, and that's what I like.
So there's a meeting place between drama and stillness. Perhaps.
Yes.
Both in the text and in the images. Yeah. So what kind of reactions have you got from grown-ups?
Well, from grown-up, I mean, you only get the good reactions, because when people think something is lovely, they tell you. They say, "Oh, what a beautiful book!" You know. There's no one that approaches me and said, "Oh, what an ugly book." No. So the reactions are often the very positive reactions.
Yeah.
I also read it to a child of 3 years old.
Yeah.
And she was listening, and she was like, but very carefully looking at, and when it comes to young children and pictures, I mean, they don't ask question about, is it too simple for what? An image is an image. This is this image, and it has the value as it is and where it is. And the child reader, and by reader I mean also reading the taking part of the illustrations.
Yeah.
They take it as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
And you had we have just 10 seconds left, but the book ends with that there are newcomers coming in, and you asked some children, what will happen now? So couldn't that be the last word for us?
Yes.
What will happen when the book ends?
What will happen? I made it as a little play in a classroom, together, an improvised play, and all the children was so into the story. And then I said, and now we are all we. And what do we see? We see some others. And I asked the children, so what shall we say? And all the children went, tell them to come. So they were immediately into making them to us.
Yeah. Tell them to come. That will be our last words. Thank you very much, Åsa and Ingrid.
Thank you.